welcome to another episode of Design and Style. I am one of your hosts, Dixie, with Dixie Willard Design, and with me, as always, is the beautiful, effervescent
Rachel with Rachel Moriarty Interiors. Thank you, Dixie.
And today we have Cheryl Janis, and before she says a word, let me just tell you, you're in for a treat just listening to her voice. But Cheryl teaches physicians, dentists, healthcare practitioners how to design deeply nurturing, healing environments to keep patients delighted and referral business flourishing. And Cheryl has 2 books out. She is the author of The Color Cure and The Waiting Room Cure, and we're going to hear all about it. So with that, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me here. Thank you, Dixie. Thank you, Rachel. I'm a huge fan. I'm a super fan of your show, so it's really fun to be here.
Oh, you are
We
a
love
sweetheart. My goddess friend.
Yes, absolutely.
We have, so Cheryl and I, how long have we been friends online?
At least a few years.
Yeah. So it's just so crazy what's happened in the last couple of years. We both have podcasts now, and you and just putting out so much magic. And,
Thank you. Likewise. Doing great stuff in the world. Yay, designers.
I love it.
And you guys at home too, listening.
That's right. And I've got to say, your work is just absolutely beautiful. I wish you were designing the doctor's offices here, because it would make my life so much easier every time I have to go.
Yes. Yeah. I just helped a couple just outside of Detroit, Michigan, and they've been in practice. They have a cosmetic dentistry practice. They were just adorable and fun to work with. It was all virtual. Mm-hmm. So you know how it is. We service the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have to tell you, I always think of you when I go to my dentist.
Do you?
Because can you believe my dentist? I have never said anything, and I think I actually skipped like this whole year because I think about it and I get anxious because they repainted their space red.
Oh no, you're kidding. The waiting room?
Dentist office. The thing.
Oh, that's terrible. Like a cherry red or like a burgundy red?
No, like a deeper red, but it's like the wall.
It's stimulating. Yeah, it's a lot. Don't do it.
I actually don't have a fear of the dentist. I like the dentist, but after they did that, and then the
interesting.
They play like they just let whatever roll on their TV, and sometimes it's the news, and sometimes it's like whatever lame daytime talk show. It's really weird. Like it's really old school or something. I don't know what it is. But it's not.
Do they have yellow in there too? Red and yellow?
It's a weird tan.
Yeah, right.
With a yellow undertone.
So that's like, fast food colors. It stimulates the nervous system in the brain. It makes us hungry. It's the worst possible colors you could choose for dental office. So it's
horrible.
And they probably had lots of good intentions behind it. That's the thing is that,
it's sad. Yeah. I know. I should just give them a book for Christmas.
Exactly. Or just send them to my website because I have a free email course and they can learn about that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or even just voicing that you feel that way and that you don't actually look forward to coming to their practice, even though it's kind of scary or might not be the most comfortable thing to do. It would be helpful information for them.
You're right. I know I should say something.
But I totally understand if you don't want to. It's like a very uncomfortable position to be in. So, yeah.
So let's talk about, Cheryl, you have a very unique path to design, to actually the niche of what you do. So I really want to talk about it because we love to talk about visibility and your story and your differentiator. And your story is so, it's unbelievable, really, if you think about it. And it is definitely your path and journey in life. But let's talk about how you got to your niche a little bit.
Sure. So I specialize in designing the medical space, and particularly now I just teach physicians how to kind of do it on their own. So I've been in a lot of car accidents in my life, starting as a kid. I've been in lots of accidents. I was just one of those kids who just, fell down and landed, in the emergency room. And broke my tooth, fell down the stairs, broke my tooth right after the second front tooth, right after just, I'd grown back in or whatever, my second tooth. And, just really in moped accidents and bicycle accidents, put my foot in the spokes. And when I was in Mexico, I got bit by a dog, on the face when I was a kid. And so when I was 17, I got into the big car accident, pretty much of my life. And I was in the car with my boyfriend on the way home. It was on my birthday. And I leaned over to kiss him. And it was like quite a kiss because he just I guess lost control. And we went into the parked cars. He drove us right into parked cars. I don't really remember. And anyway, my whole right side of my face and body went through the windshield and I almost died. And I spent, the next several years just trying to get my life back together. I was going into senior in high school. So it was it was really dramatic. And so over the years, I just know what it's like to be a patient. And so inside waiting rooms and inside exam rooms, and it's, there's a lot to be said about it. As you know, it needs a lot of help, and it always, induced a lot of anxiety and fear. And so what was interesting about that is because when I've been practicing interior design for about 15 years, in the summer of 2018, I'll celebrate my 15-year anniversary. And so I just was a general interior designer and a feng shui consultant back in the early days. And I used to go into people's homes, and I used to be known as the self-care interior designer because I understood, because I'm empathic and I'm a highly sensitive person with a highly sensitive nervous system. And you can look this up online if you think you're a highly sensitive person, or what they call an HSP. Elaine Aron is a doctor, and she wrote a book about it called The Highly Sensitive Person, etc. And so I used to just know. I used to go in people's homes and I'd help them, reduce their stress and create quiet spaces and all that stuff. And then I was a generalist interior designer. So as a lot of you who are listening probably take every single client that comes your way, even if it's not the right fit because you're worried about money, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like that too. And so in that came, the medical space. And what I started to notice over time were that my clients were coming back to me and saying that referrals were up sometimes up to 80% within the first 3 to 6 months when they installed the new design, based on principles that, based on my designs. And I just kept seeing this over and over again. And then I'd hear, that patients were actually feeling better and receiving the treatments better. Just everything was a win-win. It was patients were feeling better. They were more receptive to treatment recommendations. They were, the referral business was increasing. And this was across the board, regardless of whether it was a dental office or a medical space or a beauty business, an esthetician's office, massage therapy, chiropractor, really didn't matter. It just was absolutely across the board and I started to notice. And so about 5-6 years ago, I started to specialize because I really wasn't getting the desired amount of satisfaction in helping people one-on-one in their homes as much as I loved my clients. I decided to specialize. And then, of course I decided to teach. Then I just, over the years had all this knowledge. And so I wrote the books. And now the books have become a platform for, sometimes I offer workshops, group workshops to physicians and healthcare entrepreneurs who are, all over the world. And, but I'm mostly focusing on my books right now. And I did it without being visible in the video platform. I did it all through writing and an email list and a free email course and building my own platform, one day at a time.
I remember when you and I kind of pulled away from the various groups that we were in, and we kind of pulled away, and it was funny that we kind of needed to sever. I feel like we needed to sever some ties.
Yeah, we did.
Launch forward a little bit. And you had done something that we had both done something that we felt kind of crazy at the time. And for me, it was my daily live streams, and for you, it was a daily email.
That's
And
right.
I remember when you did that, and I remember you trying to, and Dixie will probably laugh because she knows how challenged I am. when, when Cheryl was trying to explain a drip system and, yeah, send this out and then this person will send it, and then, and I was like, I need to just stick with hitting go live. And, so it's really
Yeah.
funny how visibility can take, you can just hear Cheryl's more like calm and I'll work this out. And, Dixie's very like that too. Dixie will just work things out, and massage it and massage it and massage it till she figures it out, where I'm just like, So I remember that you started your daily email, and I remember that was such an amazing, I'm on your email list, and I loved how, and I actually don't read a lot of the emails that land in my inbox. So I have a feeling that you have a pretty good open rate on yours.
I do.
I love, you're very succinct about what you write about, but you also, I felt I really got to know you through your stories. And then you take these stories and somehow tie it back in.
I
There's
do.
like a little lesson, and your emails are not that big.
No, they're
And
short.
it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I went to the doctor today, or I went to whatever. And it's just like, sometimes it can almost feel a little day in the lifey, but also always very teachable as well. So I totally want to acknowledge you for that, because
Thank
that's
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
I think it's a gift to be able to do that and to be visible in that way. And I think I would love you to talk about that, because yesterday we did 9 podcast interviews with people in our tribe, and
Mhm.
some people were like, video is it just scares them. And we keep saying there's so many strategies to be visible. You can share yourself and your story in so many different ways, and writing is one of your gifts, and podcasting as well. But I would love for you to share a little bit about the email
Sure. Sure.
strategy.
So, I think as a young interior or young person, young in our feet in our careers, we have this terrible fear of being visible in every way, and it's sort of like the price of admission. You want to be an entrepreneur, solopreneur, and you really do need to put yourself out there, and you have to be brave, and you have to be able and willing to not be perfect, and be committed. And so I always say it's not about passion, it's about the commitment piece or the consistency piece. So I decided, I was writing weekly email for a while, and then for many years I would fret over those emails. I would sit there for hours, and I would sweat anxiety bullets, wake up at like 2 hours before the email went out and worry about what other people thought. And it was just happening to me. I felt like I was the anxiety. And as someone who's highly sensitive, and the other interior designers who are listening out there, I know that you understand, and I know you and Dixie and Rachel also get it too, because we're all introverts and we all need our quiet time to balance this crazy life. So I just decided to write, and after I decided to specialize, I had more to actually talk about. And so I just decided to write a Monday through Friday daily email that was 300 to 500 words, and kind of told a story. So it was like part entertainment and part, here's this lesson. And I think you can start by just writing about whatever is going on in your life. And so I kind of did that. And then I would just tie it into a lesson, and then I would be out and about, and I'd be thinking, probably like you, Rachel, with your daily lives, you're like out and about, and you're like, oh, I can jot this down for a live. I can do this for live. And that was how kind of it worked with me. I'd be out and I'd see something and I go, oh, I want to share this. I want to share this. And then it became just like, I want to share this. Once I got over I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to make spelling mistakes. And I didn't know how to write when I first started. It was just practice and consistency. And so I did that for a year. I did that for 1 year. And now I've pulled back to once a week, because it's just, more of a work-life balance for me. So what else can I tell you? I can tell you about the process a little bit. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, that would be definitely.
Okay.
And I think, somebody could do that. For 30 days. Like, just commit to, I feel like if
Right.
you commit to
Yeah.
something for 30 days, I feel like it
Yeah.
makes all kinds of changes that are really unimaginable.
It is.
Plus, I would imagine it doesn't have that same scariness factor as doing a blog post.
Yeah.
Because a
Right.
blog
Right.
post, you feel like you have to put so much effort into it. But just a quick, short little, hi, this is what's going on here, and this is what we can learn from
Yes.
it, and this is what I saw, would be so much more manageable.
And then what you do is you start to develop fans and people start to expect it. And then you're like, if it's crappy today, I have another chance tomorrow, instead of like
Right.
once a month where you're like, sweating bullets and putting in all this time and worrying about how perfect it is. And in the end, people don't want to read that much anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
it's really interesting. I think it's counterintuitive. We think that more information as designers is better, and actually less is better because there's so much going on in our lives. You got to remember that your clients or your audience, they just want to take in one little thing at a time. And
Yeah.
then you would benefit that would benefit them so much more. And it really does. And people really appreciate it. So I'm a real minimalist. So in my life, in my style and everything, and that includes my website. I have a very minimalist website. I've become more minimal over the years. And I put together a 5-day free email course. I've done 2 of them now over the past couple of years, and they're very, very successful. People like to sign up for email courses and when they're free. And so these are all automated. So what Rachel was saying is true. It does feel like a deer in the headlights at first. But if you write out these emails through, I use Drip, which is like MailChimp, but it's just a more extensive, it allows you to do more things, but MailChimp is fine. You can automate things. And how great is that? You can write out an email course. And then at the end of that, you can put together a discount code offering for, in my case, I do it for my book, I offer 30%. And that way, my call to action is this email course, this free email course. And I've had 2 of them. One of them talks about how to choose the best paint colors for your healthcare practice. And the other one that I'm running now is how to, quit that effing second job that a lot of physicians and healthcare practitioners have to have before they can go full time. And it's how to, use these 3 design tips in your waiting room to, change that waiting room, to fill your practice, to get more patients in and all that. And so I do get I think I get an average of 10 to 15 signups a week. And that's, it's not 100 signups a day, but it is very regular. And so the people that sign up love it. And so they get these 5-day of emails, and then they get these 3 days. 3 emails are already written. So I do all the work beforehand. They get 3 emails that offer them this 30% discount for the book. And a lot of people do buy the book at that discount. And then they go on, then they get a welcome email. It's like, welcome to the community. This is what you can expect. You can unsubscribe here. No hard feelings. And then they love it. And then I give them, at the end of that welcome email, I say, so tell me, what is your, what's your vision of your medical practice, or what's your vision of your, of the waiting room of your beauty business? And I get a pretty good response rate. People, hit reply,
That's
and
so
they give me 1 sentence, and then they're on my list. And then they're on my list. And then I have an audience. So I have about 500 people on my list.
wow.
And these are 500 people that are listening to me. And it's growing, as I said, every week it grows. And so so next question you may be thinking, listening at home, is how did I get in front of people? How did people know to go to my website? How did people know about my book? Which my book I don't sell on Amazon. It's only a digital book. Because if it were printed, it would cost a couple $100 because
350 pages.
Yeah. And it's the last one is, and it's got over 100 designs in it. So, and it's just easier because you can take it with you and you can read it on your different, portable instruments. And yeah, exactly. So when I decided to specialize, to really take time and seek out podcasts that I felt, where my audience were, where the physicians were listening, where the dentists were listening, where the beauty estheticians were listening, where the massage therapists, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that alone takes a lot of commitment, because you can't just expect to write one email to a podcast host, especially if they're a popular podcast, and expect them with no experience or anything and expect them to write you back. So you have to follow up. So I treated it as a campaign. You know, I set up reminders for myself. I kept it all. I use High Rise, which I love, which is, you know, contact management software online. It's a subscription based. And so I just slowly reached out, and I would, like, 1 week, you know, would go by and it'd say, hey, did you get this? Are you the right person to talk to? And so I got a little bit of coaching on that from my husband, who is, he helps software developers position themselves in the market. And he wrote a book called The Positioning Manual. So he's a real niche guy. And he kind of helped me a little bit on these emails and what to say. And I just, you know, but really it's like, hey, are you the right person to talk to? You know, and these people are busy, so give them one sentence. You know, you don't have to, like, write a book in an email and tell them who you are and why you'd like to be on their podcast. You know, there's a sort of science to it. Just make it easy and quick and fast, and don't think about it too much, and follow up. So I started to do that basically all of 2017. I think the end of 2016 was when I got on Docpreneur, and that was, I mean, the editor, Michael Tetrault, he's like the busiest guy I know. And I kept just, hey, are you the right person? Hey, hello, I'm here. Hello. You know, and that's just an email, and very, very informal email, because, you know, these people are normal human beings. So it really is just putting yourself out there. And I put myself out there in that way. And then, of course, you know, I was terrified to be on these podcasts. But, you know, you do it, and you just, you practice, you write everything out, you know, you practice beforehand, and you just expect to mess up, and it's like, fine. Like, messing up on a podcast or a video cast, it's like, yeah, it's so much more endearing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're a human.
Yeah.
It's like you're not just, you know, doing it perfectly. I mean, Marie Forleo, yeah. I mean, she's gorgeous, and she's got all the moves, and she's got the money, and she's, like, on video, and it's perfect. But even she loves to make fun of herself, actually.
She loves to add those bloopers, and hysterical.
So I did. So I just went on several podcasts, and over the course of the year, and then and then on the podcast, I'd say I'd give one CTA, one call to action at the end, which was get on my email, take this free email course. So instead of, again, overwhelming people with, oh, I have a book, and now I have this, and I have this, and you can go do this, I just give one call to action at the end. Then they get into my ecosystem of, you know, my tribe and my community, and then I have their attention. So it's a process to do it, but it definitely didn't, and, you know, I'm on video, I'm fine on video, but I'm not a video girl or anything. I do have really nice light today because my husband has nice light, but really it's like, it's all about the voice for me. It's all about the voice.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh, Dixie and I were saying
I
how
know.
much we love.
Thank
You just have an airiness and a breathiness to it that's so calming. So let me know when you get that meditation app out, because
yes, I listen to it constantly.
Okay.
I see you selling, like, something like that for these practices, like, hey, when you're, you know, doing intake or whatever, and you go to your next room, and the person sitting there, just play my voice. So
that's really sweet. Thank you.
I definitely want to pull out, I love that you said visibility is the price of admission, because, you know, a couple of things. Our designers have self-identified themselves as perfectionists. So I love that you did touch that you don't have to be perfect.
I love not being perfect. It's actually better.
I do
so
too.
much easier.
Like, no, who's perfect? That doesn't make any sense, right? To, like, try to put that out there. And that you have to be brave and consistent. And so I'm always surprised that somebody, you know, I always try to think of that moment. I know for me as well, when I was filling out the paperwork, and I put Rachel Moriarty Interiors, and, you know, did all the documentation and the legal forms and the, you know, DBA and all that stuff. I always, you know, I remember back to those times where I saw myself as, Rachel Moriarty Interiors. But then when I got in and started doing the work, I became a little bit of this like, oh, I'm staying behind my laptop and I'll let my work show for me and you know what I mean? All of a sudden I went from this like awesome, like visioning phase where I was like Rachel Moriarty Interiors to kind of a hider. Right. And so I get it. But it was cool that you said, it takes consistency and bravery and courage. We talk about that all the time.
And celebration. Like, you have to celebrate the shit out of those little steps, right?
Exactly.
Like chocolate breaks, walks to the forest.
I love that you always bring up chocolate. I associate that with you now. But that's what's great. Like, those are those things. Like, when you say chocolate and I think of, Cheryl loves chocolate. Like, like these are little things that I know about you from reading your emails, from listening to your podcast. They're your little differentiators, right?
Right.
So I think people are going to get so much out of just another way to be visible without, I know that people watch me and I'm like, and I'm saturated colors and you're a minimalist and I'm a maximalist, and it's, I'm like, more is more and less is more, you know what I mean? So it's, they watch me and it's like, but that's me, that's true to me, and so it's, there's the whole spectrum. I think somewhere right in between us.
Right.
I think so. I think that's a pretty good description.
Nice. Well, the integration of everything is so great, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes, that's what I love about this country. It's like, you can bring in a tradition like Iyengar yoga and come up with, Anusara, which is a combination of Iyengar and, Ashtanga or whatever. Right. And it's like, we do that and it allows that, because if you look at Europe, it's not as easy to be a solopreneur there. I mean, of course, you can work online and there's that forum, but it's just not as, I have friends there and they're just like, wow, it's just so much more open here to do that. So very cool.
One of the things that I think that I love about how you've niched is, I told you that had a yoga studio reach out to me this week from my lives, right?
Yeah.
So it's always ironic that I get people through Facebook, but it surprises me. I think that these beauty businesses and especially where you niche. So when she actually sent me a video of her space.
Okay.
And I'm always surprised that there was no branding.
Okay.
There was no, so when I was going through your stuff, I love, were you okay, Dixie?
You mean my book?
What? So are you okay, Dixie? Oh, okay.
I was taking a sip of coffee and you said there was no branding and I choked.
So she's going through her yoga studio and I'm like, I don't see her name of her business anywhere, and so I was loving going through your waiting room, and you do show the name of the business, you do show some signage, you do show, everything's integrated from the colors, the art, the signage, and it's a way to do it, and it's a softer way of doing it. But like, especially today, I think I know this person that has the studio does videos where she does show yoga moves and stuff. And I'm thinking, why isn't there her logo in the back? And, so I was looking at your book last night and I was like, I just love that you really take it as an experience for the client. I'm interested too. What are they saying about their employees? Are their employees happier in the environment?
Yeah, I just want to back up for a minute and just unpack that a little bit. So I wrote a chapter about signage in your waiting rorom and how it's important to reduce anxiety among patients and clients or customers, because they get, how it is when you get lost and you're just and you're embarrassed and they don't and also it's also healthcare entrepreneurs like this yoga studio owner, they may be one, just unconsciously not thinking that it's important and ashamed, or like there's some block there why they're not doing it. And actually I see about 30% of people that I work with don't have the appropriate signage, and this is because they either don't know who to contact, and they get, flustered, and they have, especially yoga studio owners, they're really busy. I mean, there is just so many ticky-tacky
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And so, I sort of show how to do that appropriately. And I just wanted to mention that. And then what was the other thing you said?
No, I'm glad you backed up, because I loved when I read. I had never thought about when I'm going to a new office and I'm, maybe you're running a few minutes late, maybe you hit traffic, maybe it's the first time there,
Yeah,
that, and I think you said that signage actually reduces the anxiety because
it does.
it says you're in the right place.
And it says, and it's an opportunity to connect, and it's
Yeah.
opportunity, that, and like when you walk in and, you see the signage, either if it's not behind the reception desk, which it should be,
Yes.
then it's, at least it should be somewhere in the waiting room.
Yeah.
If maybe the reception desk is not the first thing you see when you walk in.
Yeah.
But especially in this woman's yoga studio. And that's an important piece. I mean, that's a feng shui piece. That's
Yeah.
huge. I mean, that's who you are in the world. So, and it's common. I mean, like, and then, people don't update their signage. I mean, it could be falling off the side of a building and they're like, just leave it. Or, I don't really want to be seen. It is a lot about not wanting to be seen. And so, it goes for us too.
Yeah.
It goes for our visibility and our branding, and it's the same thing. So you can relate. So that's something that you now can help her with, when you go in to help her redesign her studio space. Yeah.
So that was, there's just little tidbits like that are invaluable, I mean, so as an intuitive, I see those things myself, but it gave me validation seeing it and the way you called it out in your book. Like you actually put the words, you're in the right place. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, there's that like an intuitive thing that I have, but I'm like, that's why, like I was able to like tangibly to connect it to that, so I recommend your book I think all of us designers need to have it, because there is that time when we do have, even as if we specialize in residential, there are those occasional smaller commercial businesses that reach out to us.
I mean, I think it's a good book to help the designer understand why certain colors are more important, or why, you should think about curve appeal, and not just have all square things in your space, which science shows us that the brain loves curves and appreciate, of course. I mean, it's the balance, right, of feminine and masculine. We all love being in spaces that have more curves than squares, or at least a balance to curves and squares. I mean, and that's taught in interior design school. I'm self-taught and I know that, but also the evidence shows that. And just to understand that, and maybe think about the patient experience. I mean, it breaks it all down for you. So if you see that's something that you've been getting more of, you've been getting more medical spaces or beauty business spaces or chiropractors or acupuncturists, then the book can be helpful. If you feel that you need that extra, it can be helpful in that way.
Give you confidence, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like it gives me confidence.
Yeah, it's a very practical book. It breaks things down nicely.
It's just pretty.
Thank you, Dixie.
The 100 designs you did, if anybody hasn't seen your renderings, I mean, you're known for your renderings anyway, because your equipment, your software.
The software is amazing, right?
Is incredible.
Yeah.
I think people should see it just to see how you mix colors. It's just something I've never seen.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it.
Yeah.
I love it, and if it can be helpful to designers, then I certainly want it to be helpful. So, and I'm having a 30% off sale at the last 2 weeks of December. So
one more thing I want to touch on in your book that I think is a new concept to designers that they might not know about is the evidence-based art.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that, like, excuse me, I didn't know about evidence-based anything until I talked to you.
Well, good. I'm glad you know about it now.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I was telling Dixie about it after just having a conversation with you, but I have listened to your evidence-based art podcast episode. Peter is his name?
Peter Blanchard with Manifest Photo. He's amazing. If you ever want to work with him, he's beautiful, and he offers a great commission to designers. So
Yeah.
Reach out to him. He's manifestphoto.com.
Really, really beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
And you have his stuff in your designs. And I love
I do.
What I loved was how he said his art will kind of take you somewhere. So if you're anxious and you're in the waiting room, the purpose of his art is to take you somewhere mentally.
That's right.
You know, especially
exactly.
even if you're in like long-term care.
Yep. Yep.
And I love how he said even that the way he does is so there's almost like a little piece of island. Like if you're in front of a river or an ocean, there's this like little piece of island in the art where you can imagine yourself sitting on a rock.
Right. Or a bench or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So really, that's another thing I just wanted to talk about too.
Yeah. Let me explain just what that is real quick. If you if you guys don't know what that is who are listening, is evidence-based art is art that takes evidence on it's basically nature art, and there's been all this evidence and all the science that proves that when you look at an image, when someone looks at a certain kind of a nature image that's very immersive and three-dimensional, not like the flat images you get at IKEA or Kmart or anything like that, but images that are more, multidimensional, like you can really feel them, like of a forest and light coming through a forest, or an ocean or a river. And you put that up either in a hospital, in a patient room. They've done studies in hospitals, and they have found that those patients who have this type of, either have a view outside of a tree versus a brick wall, or a view of some type of nature art, get out of the hospital sooner. They're less reliant on pain medications. And what I found is that when I've used Peter's art and I've recommended it to my clients, that they see, repeat business. It creates an experience. And we were talking about this new experience economy that's happening right now, is creating an experience. There was just an article that was written in the Harvard Business Review about how, creating an experience is the new economy, and that's what people are paying for. And so evidence-based art is shows the science is behind it, but we already know. I mean, come on, we all know how we feel in nature, right? So yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's right.
There's a reason I'm the crazy lady in the woods.
Right, exactly. So, and I'm with you there. I live on a beautiful piece of land too, and I love being here. So I think interior designers have a hard time finding that. I think that when they work with clients don't have the budget. So there's, places online that you can direct them to, like Unsplash, if they want to do it on their own, or you can work with, beautiful photographers who specialize in this healthcare evidence-based art, like Peter, and also Daniel Ambrosi. He's just, Daniel Ambrosi's work. He's out of California. He's just magical. So, evidence-based art, yo.
So much goodness. I mean, I've just been devouring your book, my friend.
Thank you, guys. You guys are just too kind. You guys are sweet.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
So it's been such a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. And, if you do want the book, if you're inspired to get the book, there's a 30% discount. If you sign up for the email course, just go to my website, CherylJanisDesigns.com, CherylJanisDesigns.com. You can sign up for that, and you'll also get a 30% discount that way. But it's just been great to talk about the subject. Thank you, Dixie, and thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we will have all of that information too on our website so that people can find it really easily. Just click on a link. You go to designandstylepodcast.com. Super easy. Find everything, and it's pretty
Yay! Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
This podcast was made possible in part through the support of our preferred partners, like the Design Network. The Design Network offers one of the most powerful to-the-trade e-commerce programs in the furniture industry, combining the top brands in furniture, the best prices, and unparalleled logistics all in one place. Go to www.thedesignnetwork.com to join the Design Network's Trade Direct program, create your designer profile, connect with new clients, and start shopping today.